I love this question because I love talking about my favorite perennials. I specifically choose ones that work together in mass, like in my bed in my backyard, but also are drought tolerant, easy care, low maintenance, pollinator loving. So we're gonna talk about the mix I use here and why they're all my favorite. First up is one of my favorite Nepetas, Catmint. This one's Summer Magic, so it's a little bit more upright, a little bit smaller than Walker's Low, but it is a profuse bloomer. After its first bloom cycle, I do like to trim it back and it often fleshes out even more. Caradonna Salvia. In the salvias, this one is definitely more upright. It's a really dark purple stem, so even when it's not fully in bloom, you still get that really stark contrast against the green, and the habit of it is much more tight than some salvias that just splay open. Rudbeckia is a large family, but specifically I like the Goldsturm variety. This does reseed itself, so you want to plant it among things that can kind of handle some naturalization. Of course, if you trim off its seed pods in late fall, that really helps. Since it's a mid to late summer bloom, it really starts to kind of come out later after some of the spring blooms are starting to go away. These really hang on all the way until frost for me. Now you won't have as many blooms as when they first flesh out, but you still get that beautiful color all the way into fall. Allium is a large class of flowers that really encompass everything from the onions we eat in the kitchen to spring blooming allium, but specifically these are the summer blooming allium and the Millennium variety. They're a little bit shorter than some varieties, but they are so profuse at blooming and pollinators just hover on them. These are really drought tolerant, as all these perennials are, so once they're established, they're very easy care, and they're not supposed to reseed like some allium do. I do find that in the right conditions. I am starting to notice sometimes that they do reseed, so you just want to watch that. Culver's root Fascination is the variety I have back here. It's really tall, but you can see it has those open, airy blooms that just glide above all the other flowers in the bed. They have a lot more color than you think, and they're beautiful in mass. They're a little bit more open and airy, so the more you plant together, the more the impact of that color is. One more Nepeta, we already talked about one. This is a much shorter variety. This is called Cat's Pajamas, and it's my favorite to use in places where I want a really low but huge impact bloom. I like to plant these mini plants together in mass, which is really all my perennials. I try to put multiple plants together. Specifically here, there's about 7 of them together to give that profuse color. They start blooming in May and they go all the way through the summer. A little less blooms later on in the season, but still it's worth that impact. The last one I'm going to talk about is Stachys, specifically Helene von Stein or Big Ears. Stachys, also known as lamb's ear, has a really soft silvery foliage. This variety specifically I grow because it doesn't bloom as much and I want it for the foliage. I keep it almost as a ground cover in really dry, hot, southern exposure sun. All these perennials, drought tolerant, easy care, low maintenance, oftentimes pollinator loving, and are just perfect in the garden if you don't want to do a lot of work but want a lot of impact.